an avenir into Zizek known. So rather than avenir understood rather than a completion of something already happening, there's something, a break. I try to illustrate the Auseinandersetzung standard of somebody who would want to see a sort of congeries of concomitant forces at work and not just a sterile interpretation. In Zizek's toilet paper example of ideology. So in other words, I try to blow it up to a scale much larger than Zizek himself expresses the matter in, not to show it as an absurdity, but just to clarify the sort of point of orientation that can then be fined and refined. Once, as it were, grabbed onto, latched onto. In fact, Zizek himself, I noticed this also, that it's very sloppy in both in Sloterdijk and Zizek. It's not so much deliberate as in Heidegger. It has a more technical flavor. There's repeated changes of near concepts, like in Sloterdijk, of the interpretation of the famous saying given by Rousseau, who Rousseau may have invented himself, about the Spartans concerning the Spartan mother who received the helot, saying, base slave, I didn't ask that my 13 sons have all been slaughtered in battle. I don't care about that. Tell me only whether Sparta has had the victory, that she hears Sparta has had the victory, that she goes and pronounces prayers of thanks to the proper deities. So, and Sloterdijk's given that in like slightly different tones and emphasizing different parts of it and changing it in different accounts of it. And there doesn't seem to be any particular awareness of the close reading comprehension there, as it were. In the same way, Zizek sometimes gives this joke. It's actually not a joke. That's actually one of the things that makes it strong. Is that it's not a joke. It's like anecdata, or it's like something that happened once in Yugoslavia, that there was a rumor that there would be a toilet paper shortage. Say it was like 1987 or something, and the government said, no, the toilet paper supply is the same as it ever was. There was no disaster. Nothing happened to the toilet paper plant. Everything's fine. And people believed the government, but they thought there must be some proportion of special imbeciles who believe in every conspiracy theory they hear, who will go along with this notion that there's been a toilet paper shortage, and then they'll get extra supplies so that they can have, it's because Armageddon is probably coming and they have to go into the woods with their arsenal of sort of weapons to defend themselves against the rest of us, or whatever it is. And so, thinking that way, the people in Yugoslavia thought there will be some people that will for sure stock up on toilet paper. And therefore, even though I know the real case, I have to act on what I think some other people will believe. So that's one version of Zizek's account of how ideology functions. So I want to blow this up. So the whole purpose of this video is to blow this up to the largest scale to make it more visible. What it would be is the same as the nomoi, or the laws. So Nietzsche talks all the time about tables of law and the shattering of the different peoples with their different tables of law. And also I got censored from YouTube for even mentioning this, because it's you're not allowed to say anything that's vaguely anti-Jewish. You could say things that are, obviously you can say things that are anti-American, you can say things that are even that are anti-Russian, anti-French, anti-Japanese, but you can't say things that are anti-Jewish without getting, it's very dangerous. You could be censored. They don't exactly tell you if you will or you won't. It's not exactly said, but it happens all the time. So like I said in this connection, that the commandment thou shalt not kill is actually thou shalt not murder. There's a distinction between kill and murder, and obviously the ancient Israelites were doing Amalek and doing all kinds of fucked up shit. And in fact, I mean, let me rehearse that for 1 second. It's like Amalek was actually, that King Saul is regarded to this day as wicked, because instead of following Hashem's saying to annihilate every last Amalekian, he let one live, and he let some goats and sheep live. He wasn't supposed to let even the goats and sheep live. So this is why he fell afoul of Hashem, and then he started Hashem put into him all kinds of wicked spirits, which made him reject David, not trust David, and so on. Yeah, so this is what we're dealing with. But just commenting on that commandment, the difference between, so David can order everyone to kill every last Philistine in a certain village or something like that. That's fine. Or the Amalekian thing, that's fine. But thou shalt not murder is like the same thing with Schmidt, where he makes a distinction between the enemy and the hostile one. So it's like you have your neighbor that you don't like. That's just like enmity, something like that. But then there's the hostile. So there's just two categories. There's like the foreign hostile that you have to kill, and then there's the person you have enmity against, like your neighbor that's annoyed you or something, or even done something terrible. They killed your relative or something like that, but still they're supposedly your neighbor, and so on and so forth. But this is radically distinguished. This is a crude way to make the distinction between murder and killing. This is radically distinguished from something else. So even for making that point, the comment was censored on YouTube. I just put that down as in a parentheses. But supposing we take what Zizek's saying here as relying to all tables of laws, which are constantly changing. So what counts as killing, and this border, let's just take that as a good example. What counts as killing, what counts as murder changes. The border changes a little bit. There's stand your ground laws. There's all kinds of things. And these changes looked in the light of what Zizek's saying are not simply changes about what people believe to be right or wrong. Rather, they're changes in the law, where the law is this thing of like a homology on what he's saying, where you don't have to believe that somebody believes that there's the toilet paper scarcity, or say for today that there's all climatologists are lying about their findings, rather than they've made some mistakes, they've made some predictions, made some mistakes, got some things right, etc., etc. No, but they're all lying. So if you think some people are really believe that they're all lying. So it's easy for us because there's whole political factions dedicated to this, including most conservative Republicans and Trump-tards and so on. I say that deliberately to be slightly provocative. I'm not totally against Trump, but I just say that to be, they say the same thing, libtards, Trump-tards. It's stupid, so I just degrade that level of discussion by saying that, or mock it, or attempt to mock it. But the point is, once you take it for granted that some people have views that totally make no sense to you, but they might have it, then you have to act on that. So that's very simple, but then Zizek he gives different versions of this, depending on what his empirical evidence is, and sometimes it's like there's an extra level where you don't even believe anyone believes that, but you believe there's some other people that believe that the Trumpers are sincere or something like that. They could see that the same with like Samantha Power or something. Like some people think Samantha Power and Cass Sunstein are dishonest. Some people think they're sincere, etc., etc. So it seems to me Zizek's notion of ideology can favorably be brought into a kind of Nietzschean version of Hegel as a historicist, the way Nietzsche has learned from Hegel to see that the tables of law are changing and not even just at a superficial level, but at a total level. That there's no transcendence, but that the change of ideas happens in history, and that history is like nomos, and that nomos is like these changes in the different tables of law, and the different tables of law are like these different laws on what the distinction is between killing and murder.